Hello leaders, happy Tuesday. I hope y'all are having an amazing day. I am knocking out my Tip Tuesdays for my team and for y'all today back to back. So y'all know I get into it sometimes. But I want to talk to y'all today about recognition. This is super important as a leader of any kind. I feel that it's something that makes Scentsy itself special, Simply Grace and Grit special, because that's something that I've been super intentional about from day one with my team. So as a leader, you should be obviously recognizing your team, your group in some sort of way. The first thing I will say about recognition is that it can be free. It does not have to cost you anything to recognize someone for something that they're doing. As a leader, and it's going to depend because as a leader, you should be definitely always recognizing your front line. So obviously people that you have personally sponsored, you're going to recognize them for doing big things. If you are a leader that has leaders in their downline or front line, you're going to allow those leaders to recognize their front line. Okay, because we want to build leaders, we want to continue this cycle of teaching people how we're doing things so they can also have the same success. So we're going to be teaching or allowing our leaders to shout out their front line. Now, if your downline or your frontline is not shouting out their frontline or downline, then you or your director, so their upline leader, which would be you, or their director is going to be responsible for that, which is not necessarily a good thing. Actually, it's not a good thing because if you're bringing people on to this team and to this company, you should be able to take the time to recognize people for what they're doing. But also as a leader, you're building leaders. So you're going to be coaching your leaders how to also do the same thing. The what on recognition is really up to you as a leader. You get to decide what you want to recognize. I personally, when I started thinking about this, obviously I looked to Chloe, my upline, to see what she did, but I also wanted to say, okay, what's important to me as a person, as a leader, as a director, as a star director, and what I want to recognize, because we want to recognize things that we want repeated. We don't want to recognize bad behavior, obviously. We want to recognize the good behavior. We want to recognize the 1%. We want to recognize the people that are doing big things. So with that, I personally will do Active by the 5th. And I have these set times throughout the month. That way that I'm not scrambling every single day to shout people out every day. That's not the intent. I don't want to be shouting people out every single day, because that makes it a burden and a lot on you as the leader and as the upline for people. We want to do for one that we can do for 400. And I tell you that because I want you to implement that now. You cannot recognize everyone every single day. But you can set it where you're going to say, okay, well, these are the dates that I want to recognize people, or obviously, unless it's a promotion, and then that's where reports come in. Really, as a whole, reports are super important because they're connected to this recognition, because you have to be able to see those numbers to recognize people. So I personally do Active by the 5th for my team and my group in an email, and I do a post on my page. I do 500 by the 15th. I do that for my team on my team page. I also do Paid at Title by the 15th. So if they are in the top, if they have 500, they obviously are paid. They could be paid at title. I will say they can't be paid at title without that 500. So if they've hit that 500 and they're paid at title, that's shouted out. I also shout out Paid at Title throughout the month. So again, you're not going to have to shout out people every day for being paid at title. Is it a big deal? Yes, but it's not something that you have to shout out right away, because people are expected to be paid at title, to be completely honest with you. It is an exciting moment when you are, especially when you're working towards it. And we always want to be recognizing those things, but it's not something that needs to be done. You shouldn't be shouting people who are paid at title differently every day. So you're going to set times through the month. That's going to make it easier for you. So I already have the 5th. If someone's paid at title by the 5th, they will be included in that shout out for the Active by the 5th. I do the 15th, obviously, and then I have dates towards the end of the month where I'm checking. Promotions. This is, again, where reports come in. I did a training not too long ago on reports, so if you didn't watch that, you can go back and watch that. I'm not going to get into that too much, but that's something that you're also going to be recognizing for people when they promote. That's a huge deal to whatever title it may be. And then I also do an end of month shout out. So on the last day of the month, that evening, I do who is in the current top 10. And then I do a banner on the, I say within the first few days of the month for the previous month of who was actually in the top 10. I also do a top 10 for mail outs in the USPS mail for top 10 PRB in my team, top 10 PRB in our group, and top 10 TWB in our group. And then obviously the banner on here as well for top 10 TWB for our leaders. And then anything else, you can recognize anything that you see, anyone who's doing something big, anyone that you see that's doing something different or that you really like. They don't even have to be in your front line or down line. You can shout them out for just saying, wow, she's like really doing it big. She's killing it these days. And then specifically, obviously, your new people, you want to shout them out when they're active or when they hit their shooting star or sensational start. But in all, you get to decide that. I would just recommend that as a leader, whatever you're shouting out for one, that you can shout out for everyone. So with one person, we don't want to shout out that they hit shooting star, and then we don't shout out anybody else for hitting shooting star, if that makes sense. Comments are not coming up, so if you have questions, I will answer them after. As far as the win, we've kind of already covered that. Set dates to be consistent. Most importantly, that you're doing it. That you're recognizing your leaders. Do not bring people onto your team or onto your group or into this business and then not recognize them. Like I said, it can be free. Yes, it does take time, but that's part of being a leader, is recognizing the things that you like and want repeated. Cincy has these goals set for us for a reason. The shooting star, the sensational star, all of that is set up to be a successful business owner. So if they're hitting those goals and Cincy's recognizing them, you should also be recognizing them as their leader. The where and how is kind of together. The team page, director page, leader page for promotions or leader specific topics, text, mail, email, all of those things that I just mentioned, except the mail, is free. Now, USPS mail, it does cost to send it. You have to pay for the postcards, you have to pay for the stamps, you have to pay for the supplies as far as like the envelope, the mailer, the glitter, the confetti, whatever you put in there. But that is a low cost task that really does make a lot of people feel special. So yes, it's great to get those texts and emails, and that if that's what you want to do as a leader, great. But if you want to do the mail outs, start doing them when you have start being consistent in what you're recognizing, and start that now. So when you hit director, and we're going to be talking about this in the next few weeks, it's not much of a change. You're already doing those things. So like I said, it can be free, but it can also cost things. And again, that's up to you. If you want to start doing gifts for people, that's up to you. But remember, you have to be able to do for one that you can do for 400. The recognition does not have to be gifts. I personally do gifts for promotions for my frontline and my downline directors. So when they promote, when they're a director, obviously, or when they're a SD, or if they're my frontline, then I do gift them something. But that's a choice that you can make when you're a leader. And the other thing with that is to be consistent across the board. Make sure, as you're learning and figuring out what you want to do, it may not be as consistent, but I try my best. I keep a spreadsheet of gifts that I give to people because I want to be consistent with everyone across the board and what they get and how much I spend and all of that. So the biggest thing about recognition, if you don't take anything else from this video, is to just do it. Recognize them in some way. A lot of people like the public recognition. That's their love language. They love words of affirmation, and they love for you to do it publicly. But some people don't like that. Some people like to just get something in the mail, or some people like just to get a simple text to know that they're doing really good things. The most important thing as a leader is just that you're doing it, and you're being intentional doing it, and you're being consistent with doing it. So Put those things in your calendar, make a note, whatever it takes so you can be consistent and keep doing it, and you'll be off to success. So if y'all have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope y'all have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys.